You are tuned to VoIP and Tel, VUC.me on the web. Our thanks to Simwood.com. Check out their API to turn developers into telcos. Our PBX is OnSIP.com. Been with them for many years. Go check out their WebRTC offer at GetOnSIP.com. ZipDX.com, our full-featured HD voice conference bridge that we've been using for several years, thanks to them. Our site is hosted at Bluehost, Bluehost.com. And those local rate dial-ins from Voxbone.com. And the mention that we didn't get, because our friend Michael Graves is off in Thanksgiving enjoying himself at the table with turkeys or whatever they do up in Canada. So he didn't do the pre-roll. I did, and we have a mention of TAD Summit. In fact, towards the end, maybe Mr. Bodie or one of the other gentlemen will make a mention of that. But we are here to talk about this transcription I did of a McCoy Tyner solo that you can see in back of me. No, we're here to talk about Astricon 2014. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen.
Hooray!
Yes, everybody's unmuted. Look at that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful vision of Mr. David Duffett, who showed up, in fact. David, why don't you introduce some of these people, the gentleman and the non-gentleman, and we can get started with this thing.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to do that, Randy. Thank you. I'm just wondering whether there's something wrong with the camera on this iMac, though, because it's kind of got me looking like I've got a chubby face.
No, you look great.
Some serious adjustment is required there. Anyway, yeah, we've got some great people speaking at this year's Astricon. It's quite nice to see that James and I are still in the UK, not travelling out just yet. We'll be bringing up the rear of the travellers, won't we, James? Are you heading out on Monday or across the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going on Monday, as is Andy, and I think Tim is going across on the Tuesday.
Oh, goodness me. That's somebody. So it'll be Tim bringing up the rear. Anyway, we've got lots of exciting things, but chronologically, the first thing that will be happening is the DevCon, which is especially for developers. And I have a little bit of exclusive news, and it links to the Bluehost picture that we saw, that Jared Smith will be there. Hooray!
Hurrah!
And that's great news. Jared, unfortunately, won't be there for the rest of Astricon, but he will fly into Vegas for the DevCon, which is very positive, I think.
Well, that means that we'll have a really good lunch then, doesn't it?
Nice. I hope so. I was going to say, if there's no good lunch, then why are we even doing the thing?
Well, I was going to say, but also means we'll get some great input from Jared. That's the angle I was taking on that. But after that, the first day is what we call the pre-con day, and you can see Billy there with the nice blue sky in the window in the background. Billy, I think, would be the best person to talk about a hackathon, which is a first at Astricon. So, Billy, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, so we will be doing the first ever Astricon Hackathon. So pretty excited about that. James Bodie will be one of our judges. We've got lots of exciting things planned, and so there is a reception for folks that would like to come in and kind of check in, find out about the hackathon. That is Tuesday night, immediately following DevCon. And then Wednesday, we're doing 8 hours of communications hacking. You can hack on Asterisk. You can hack on Respoke. There's an API called Clarify that lets you search media files. That's pretty cool. So we're excited about that and be awarding some fun prizes for that as well.
Billy, question for you. What if I wanted to use an API in addition to the ones you just listed?
Yeah, it's a free-for-all. You can mash up any kind of APIs, and so there will be special prizes for, if you use Asterisk prize, or Respoke, you get a Respoke prize. But yeah, bring in other fun things. You can do that too.
So this is the Wednesday?
That's on Wednesday, starting at registration kind of opens at 8 a.m. and then we start at 9, go from 9 to 5. And then we'll do the presentations, the demos for judging the apps will be from 5 to 7. And we have Jackie Jensen, Lantre Barr, and James Bodie will be our esteemed hackathon judges for Astricon.
So another question for you, Billy. If I'm sitting on the fence and I have not yet chosen to sign up for the hackathon, should I do that right away, or can I do that, say, maybe?
I would go for
I love these wonderful.
Matt Jordan, have you been to the? I think Matt's been to the Hugh Grant School of Acting right there.
So these are excellent questions, Matt. I would say you can go right now to astricon.net. Make sure that, of course, you're registered for Astricon. And then there are links there over to the challenge post page for the hackathon. So if you're planning on competing in the hackathon and you have not signed up yet, go ahead and head over to astriconhackathon.challengepost.com. And that's linked off of the Astricon page. And you can actually sign up and register there. That's where we'll be hosting pages for all of the apps. And there will even be a popular choice award that everyone at Astricon will get to vote for their favorite app. And we'll be giving that prize away on Friday.
I'll tell you what, it's an Astricon packed with prizes this year, isn't it? Hackathon prizes, dangerous demo prizes, fastest dude prizes, and all of that kind of stuff. Billy, I wonder if you could put that link in the VU, sorry, on IRC for people so they can click through.
I will stick that in the IRC.
Okay, that's great. Something else to mention on the same day, on the Wednesday, in parallel with the hackathon, is we've got a distro track. So for those people that are more prone to be using things like FreePBX or Elastics than kind of hacking into their own stuff, we'll have something for them too. And we've got the Schmooze brothers, Tony and Philly, and loads of the FreePBX guys along. And we've also got people from the Elastics project too. We've got the lovely Alvita. There you go. That was James doing a little bit of schmooze advertising there. Was that a power supply? Sorry, an emergency power unit garnered last year, James?
Absolutely, just one of the many super duper gizzits that were available at Astricon 2013.
And it's good to see that you're still using it to this very day.
Mine saved my life on vacation because I didn't have the converter for the sizes, so it works great. I didn't have the thing to plug in the. Never mind. Long story. They're great.
Yes, very useful articles. So yeah, there's the distro track, and also if you're a complete newbie to Asterisk, then there's an Asterisk from scratch track as well for people to get into. That's along the same lines of what Billy would have presented last year under the title of Asterisk 123, but we're calling it Asterisk from scratch this year, and our lovely training manager Melissa is officer in charge of doing that.
Melissa doing a training.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Now, for those of you that have watched some of the old Carry On films, that was a hello moment from James.
I would think that event would be very popular.
Great. Okay, well, listen, before we jump in and maybe have somebody like Ben, who'll actually be delivering one of the sessions talk, I'd just like to drop in a few titles of sessions that are going to be on the first of the full 2 days, the Thursday, and these are speakers that couldn't join us today. Martin Kaplan from CapTech, he's going to be talking about building stuff with Asterisk that makes an Avaya system actually useful. And that's...
no subtext there, though. Wow.
That's not actually the title of his title of his speech. I kind of changed that very slightly. But Martin's actually in the middle of travelling to Las Vegas as we speak, and he's a guy that showed up last year and just aced his decap on the first go, and has been solidly hacking into doing Asterisk stuff for a good while now. We've got testing with SIP from our favourite Canadian Claude Patry. Well, actually, when I say favourite Canadian, obviously, there has to be a male and a female category for that, and we know who the female favourite.
We certainly do.
The lovely Alison, who would have loved to be here, by the way, but she was indisposed. We've also got Billy, who you just heard speaking. He'll be doing an introductory kind of thing called Getting Started with WebRTC. And of course, we'll be having some great security sessions. They proved very popular last year. And as you know, the bad guys that like to hack into systems have not gone away this year. In fact, there may even be more of them out there. And so we'll be having some security. Anyway, before I talk about any more of the sessions, I wonder, Ben, if you could chat about the 3 different things that you're involved in this year.
Certainly, happy to. Yeah, you guys, you put me to work this year. It's been fun preparing for Astricon. But so on Thursday, the first thing that I've got going on is a talk about will it scale, tipping the scales, and one of the things we hear all the time is, well, how does Asterisk scale? What can it do? And this is my attempt to answer that, and I think in a way that hasn't really been approached before, which is looking at it from all the ways that Asterisk can scale and what choices you make as far as transcoding versus recording versus file playback, what kind of impact each of those operations might have on your capacity. So I've actually had a lot of fun putting together the data for that. I've been making the fans in my server room spin like crazy for the last 2 weeks. So that should be a lot of fun. And then on Friday, actually with the lovely Allison, she and I are going to go on stage with a presentation called "How Using Asterisk to Build Her," which is a reference to the movie Her. And we're actually going to use Asterisk to build a virtual assistant, something that has a little bit of personality, something that can answer some questions, integrate with some interesting APIs, hopefully, and I'll have. So I think the banter there should be a lot of fun.
That's two Astricon favourites in the one session there, Ben, isn't it? Yourself and the lovely Alison.
That's right. Really, Alison's the headliner. I'm really just the supporting role in making her look good. So looking forward to that. And then you may have noticed my slightly altered headwear here. This is a tribute to James Bodie and the dangerous demos, which my arm is still aching because yet again he's twisted it into getting me to do a dangerous demo. So I'll be doing that Friday afternoon. So I'll be all over Astricon.
You certainly will, and actually, Ben hasn't mentioned it, but he's very kindly agreed to do a little bit of moderating duty as well, because in each session, it's nice to have a sensible adult who can just allow the speakers the right amount of time, but not let them skip too far over time, and to just handle things and make everything smooth. And by the way, Ben, I can't help thinking, it could just be me, but you look slightly like Aston Kutcher today.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, it's a dude, where's my asterisk?
That sounds like a good talk for next year.
But anyway, we thank you greatly, Ben, for your involvement. And I think that the one with Alison, with the speech technology and the flirtation with artificial intelligence is very exciting. But the scaling one's a very good practical one as well. I mean, there's a lot of people still out there in the world who tend to think about Asterisk as only doing relatively small numbers, and I'm sure everybody whose face is along the bottom of the screen, and most of the people listening will know that Ulle Johansson, several years ago now, got 11,500 phone calls through a single Asterisk. So, people have been doing large numbers on a single server, but, with the stuff that you're mentioning, and of course, that leads me on to talk about the SIP proxy, or the SIP server people that are going to be at Astricon this year. Both OpenSIPs and Camelio are very well represented this year. Daniel is going to be doing a talk about Camelio called SIP Servers Everywhere. But Peter Dunkley, another VUC and Astricon favourite, will also be talking about scaling up. Lovely photo of James and Alison there. What an interesting couple they make. And Bogdan from OpenSIPs is going to be there, and Ali Pei and various other people. So there's a huge smorgasbord of different associated projects as well, where people can go and learn more about how to configure Asterisk alongside other things to go into clusters. Peter Dunkley's just showed up on IRC. Hi, Peter. We're looking forward to your session. Another live speaker we have in the Hangout today is Tim. So, Tim, I know you're doing a session with our very own Dan Jenkins. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Dan and I decided we'd do a talk about the practicalities of deploying WebRTC. I know Billy's doing an introduction, but we thought we'd kind of dig a little deeper in. So, the people who've already done a prototype and been told by their bosses they have to do it, and then what we thought we'd do is walk through some possible architectures about how you might do that, what questions you might ask yourself and your users, and then how you might optimize the results. You know, what's it going to do to your server? How much CPUs are going to, and that kind of stuff.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Dan and I decided we'd do a talk on Echo now. Practicalities of deploying WebRTC. Peter, you're feeding back. There we go.
Now somebody maybe is listening on another thing. Welcome, Peter. Glad you could make it.
Hello.
Yes, Peter, your microphone is working.
Sorry.
Right, Peter, we'd like to talk to you about your session in a minute, but we'll just finish off with what Tim was talking about.
Yeah, so just trying to work out what codecs you might use and practicalities like that, and we're kind of hoping that we'll finish it off with a bit of audience participation. Whether that will play out or not depends a little bit on various random factors, but that's the hope at the moment. So we'll see.
Now we're looking forward to that, and of course, although James has really monopolised the whole dangerous demo theme for the last months and years, we know that it was you, Tim, that really brought it to the foreground of the conference experience. Not in the will I live or will I die as a result of this demo, but might it work or might it not? Yes,
indeed. I'm sort of, the headgear isn't necessary for my dangerous demos. It's more the, I was going to say, trying to think of a suitable relaxing drug, that I could say live on air. But anyway, much more about stress than actual physical danger. I'm pondering doing a dangerous demo this year.
Well, I would hope that you would, because you're one of the reasons why it all started in the first place.
So I'm pondering it. I haven't actually got one ready, but I have an idea for one. So we'll see. Well,
that's good. Of course, Tim, you're one of the only people that comes along to Astricon where people feel slightly let down if your demo does work.
Well, I usually try and make sure there's at least mild peril, as they say on the back of the DVD boxes.
Excellent. Okay, but no adult content in terms of sexual swear words in your show.
Unless, of course, things go seriously wrong.
Right. Okay. Peter, it's great that you joined us, because we were just talking about the presence of Camelio people at Astricon, as well as the Open SIPs folk as well. So I wonder if you could give a brief outline of your chat this year.
Okay, well, I'm going to be doing a little bit about how you would set up Camelio as a WebRTC front end to Asterisk, and there are a couple of benefits to that, even though because Asterisk already has SIP over WebSockets in it, but there are a couple of benefits that we can do by putting Camelio in front. First of all, you can take advantage of using Camelio as a load balancer, which makes it much easier to have a whole load of Asterisk boxes. The other thing is there are some interesting authentication options with Camelio that make it possible to authenticate off of web services using things like OAuth and other bits and pieces. So I'll just be kind of explaining how you can take Camelio and you can set this up to receive WebSocket traffic, to load balance that across Asterisk, and then how you can use this to authenticate in different ways. It'll be slightly dry because unfortunately I don't think I've got a live demo running, but I've lots of pictures.
Well, I'm sure a good picture will make up and cover a multitude of sins. But by the way, for those that have been following since the beginning of this hangout, you'll have heard WebRTC mentioned a good number of times. This year at Astricon, we avoided, or what's the word I'm looking for? Well, let's go with avoided for now. Avoided having a distinct track for WebRTC because it's actually woven into all the different tracks we've got. So if you look across the name of the subjects, the name of the sessions, you'll see that, for instance, Peter's one's got WebRTC, Tim's one's got WebRTC, James' one has not got WebRTC.
Well, it could have WebRTC for quite easily.
There could be some stuff in the dangerous demo, and of course Billy's one has got WebRTC as well. So It's woven throughout. Next year, I'm guessing we might end up having a track devoted to things in that line, but we'll see. Anyway, before we take the chains off James Bodie and allow him to freely talk about dangerous demos, one of the other faces across the bottom of the screen there, Matt Jordan, is not only looking after the last session where we talk about what's been going on in the project and where it's going, but he's actually delivering 2 sessions, yes, count them, 2, himself across the couple of days. So Matt, I wonder if you could talk about those.
Sure. So in the interest of full disclosure, I'll have some help with at least one of those sessions. Sam Galarno will be working with me to talk a bit about ARI. In particular, what we're going to be talking about in that session is what it takes to actually use Asterisk simply as a media application server and develop an ARI application that is much more suitable for production environments. Very often with APIs, you'll see people will have these demonstration scripts, and they're interesting, but then when you actually look at what it takes to go build something real, there's a massive gap between what's available in the example versus what you actually need to go deploy something in an actual production environment. And so for the past 4 or 5 months, maybe, we've been working on a sample application that is open source. It's up on GitHub. It's written in Node.js and JavaScript. It's a actual reasonable beginning replacement for Asterisk's voicemail, which there is a absolutely massive amount of things that Asterisk's voicemail has embedded within it that does all sorts of crazy things. So we limited the scope slightly, but it is a... Whoa.
What?
That was different. Somebody's phone's going off.
Ice creams, anyone?
I think that was Mr. Duffett. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about what it actually takes to go use ARI in a production kind of setting and actually build a really large application that uses it. Both from the perspective of if you're a Node.js developer, what it takes to go from that side, as well as what it takes in Asterisk. And so it should be a lot of fun and interesting to go talk about that, and as well as demonstrate it, because it should be in a demoable fashion by then, although I think Sam's still got a few last pull requests to throw up on GitHub, so we'll probably be down to the wire as usual. Then the other talk I'll be giving is actually just an in-depth dive into what all has been done in Asterisk 13. Asterisk 13 is an LTS release. It has a lot of end-user features. It also has some interesting architectural things that we did to try to round out the functionality that was done in Asterisk 12. So everything from new features in the PJ-SIP stack to media enhancements to new APIs that are available through ARI that let you do some really interesting kind of cool things. And there's a couple applications that I think some people probably haven't really thought through or really noticed that some of these things crept in. So it should be a very interesting talk as to what all you can do with all the new widgets that are available in Asterisk 13.
Sounding good, sounding good. One of the other things that we're having on the Friday just before Matt's and the other guys from the dev team's kind of final session is a clinic. We're going to have a couple of people from the Asterisk project, a couple of people from the Free PBX project, and a couple of people from Elastic's project, all sat in a room prepared to do consultations. And people can go in with the things that they want to talk about privately and have little chats with them. We thought...
Is this a Free PBX Asterisk therapy session, or...?
that might take longer than the few minutes we've allowed for it. Okay, now, I was just looking for a particular...
While you're looking, David, let me revoice the thing that you wrote into IRC, which is, does anybody on ZipDX or anywhere else have any questions for any of the people that are on the panel today? Because this would be a good time while David's busy. Anybody? You're welcome to join us and join in on the discussion. Ask any questions about Astricon or even the meaning of life, whatever.
Okay, well, while those questions are jumping up, I found the one I wanted to mention. It's called WebRTC, the Big Debate. I say, shut up and just build something. And that's a chap called Lontre Barr from Black Spot Media who's going to be coming to talk. And I've seen a lot of the presentations because the speakers have been good enough to send them through to me to have a look at. And I really like the look of L'Entre's chat because he kind of delves into the kind of analysis paralysis angle of WebRTC, where people are kind of holding off while they're waiting to find out which mandatory codecs are going to be settled on and all that kind of stuff. And he just says his whole slide set is punctuated with a big single slide that says "shut up and build something." And I like that kind of practical aspect to it. Now we've also got speakers from Japan, we've got speakers from Nigeria, we've got speakers from Israel, of course, because Nir and Eric are going to be along, and they will be hosting a wine evening as well, as they are wont to do. But I can't hold him back any longer. You can see it's like a coiled spring there. We should allow Mr. James Bodie to talk about the dangerous demos.
And ably assisted by Mr. Andy Smith, who is going to show some goodies in a moment. Dangerous demos will take place on Friday afternoon. What will take place will be, you will get to see 9 different short demonstrations, which will take no longer than 4 minutes. Each contestant will have a 4-minute slot to show something which is exciting, dangerous, entertaining, all the E words. We have 3 main prizes to give. One for the best overall demo, one for the audience vote, and then there's a special prize for the most ridiculously risky demo, which is another way of putting the demo that goes most horribly wrong. And last time we did it, we had great pleasure in awarding that prize to no less than Mr. Phil Zimmerman himself, who crashed and burnt in the most spectacular way. And to see the great man in such a predicament was, well, unusual. But he was delighted to receive his prize. Then, in addition to that, we've got a whole load of other bits and pieces that will be handed out. So anybody who participates in Dangerous Demos will not go away empty-handed. Andy, as able assistant, would you like to say a few words about...
Well, I have in front of me one of the prizes. This is actually it's engraved with the audience vote. But these just to show you, I don't know how well this is going to come out. They come in a lovely little box. And they are in fact laser engraved. I'm going to take it out of the box because I think it shows better if it is out of the box. So you can see.
Yeah, move it around.
Is that visible at all? Can you see the laser engraving in there? These are it's a bit of a cheat really, because these are the major Truphone countries that are represented in there in terms of the laser engraving. But it says nicely on the front, Truphone Dangerous Demos, Astricon Las Vegas 2014 audience vote. So that's something worth having to go on the mantelpiece for sure, or in the trophy cabinet even.
Very nice.
Yeah, very sought after. And we will be taking entries for Dangerous Demos from Tuesday onwards. And if we don't have enough, then as Ben alluded to earlier, I will be going around convincing people that they're going to enter.
The other Ben asks if there will be cake.
There could be cake.
Now, is he asking whether there'll be cake in James's session specifically, or just in Astricon generally?
It will certainly be dangerous cake if it's in our session.
Yes. Now, it looks like an intruder has climbed in on Billy Cheers.
Dangerous Dan.
Dangerous Dan came to join the show.
We have to call him Huntsville Dan at the moment.
And I will be expecting Dan to be entering a Dangerous Demo because he's just the right type of person to do that.
I'm going to aim and do that.
Brilliant.
That's good. And by the way, just to add to the list of prizes, so you've heard Billy talk about prizes from the hackathon. You've heard James and Andy talk about prizes for Dangerous Demos. I can reveal that the fastest dude prizes this year are a GoPro Hero 3 Plus camera, which
A
apparently,
GoPro Hero 3 Plus, did you say, David?
apparently so good it's more expensive than an iPad Mini, because that's the second prize, is the iPad Mini.
Wow.
And then we got some Beats Dr. Dre headphones for the discerning audio listener as the third prize. And I say this every year, but it is your best chance at winning these great prizes in Astricon, because we find that although we throw out this challenge, the fastest dude, generally only about 15 to 20 people enter. So you've kind of got, you know, depending on your skills, or at least a 1 in 10 or 1 in 15 chance of winning one of these amazing prizes. And the contest this year is kind of a stripped back thing. We've gone a little bit native, and we're just going to be looking at some simple configuration file stuff. In fact, I'm just looking around to make sure nobody's listening. I can tell you what we're actually going to do is present a system that has virtually no configuration files and give you a specific task to do, so you'll have to create some of your own. But that's all I can say for now. So there's some great prizes there as well.
And you're not allowed to turn up with a pocket full of USB keys, are you?
No, nobody's showing up with a pocket full of Asterisk configuration files. That would be wrong.
Look who's here. It's Eric Klein.
Oh, well, that's great news.
At least I think so. He needs to dust off the lens a little bit, but...
It's an image that's going to morph into
Oh,
that.
there it is.
Hey, Eric, it's great to see you.
I thought you'd got the Band-Aid on it and as a security feature.
Of course.
Little red dot.
There you go, you see?
It's good to,
Eric is
it's good to
adjusting
see
his
you.
dot there. You can also enter the hackathon and Fastest to the Dial Tone and Dangerous Demos. So I would be interested to see somebody complete all 3 contests.
Yeah, in fact, in the UK on the horse racing, there's a thing called an accumulator bet, where you bet on, you know, the horse to win on a number of different races, and perhaps we should open an accumulator book on who's going to walk away with fastest dude, hackathon, and a dangerous demo.
Oh, you're looking for a trifecta.
Well, the problem is, when you've got people like Mr. Ben Clang around, I mean, it gets a bit kind of unfair, really, doesn't it, Ben? Yeah, there's only one person who's ever won Dangerous Demos 3 times, and it's Ben.
You can build a hack in the hackathon and then submit it as your dangerous demo.
I am only one man. I think there are limits to what I can pull off in 3 days. And, you know, sleep.
I mean, actually, having Ben Clang and Tim Panton on the same row of little faces across the bottom of the screen, it's like a dangerous demo Hall of Fame here, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, all we need is Emil from Jitsi as well, and we've got the complete team.
Well, and let's not forget our very own Matt Jordan, who did participate in a dangerous demo way back in April.
I got a participation award. I don't think I count.
You neither won nor crashed and burned spectacularly.
Yeah, you
That's
don't
the
get
thing.
prizes for just being hugely competent, I'm afraid.
We do wonder. Sorry, we do wonder, Matt, whether you've got a real thing about howler monkeys, though.
You know, it is the one and only true test sound. All other test sounds are a lie.
Yes, yeah, that's true. And in fact, 2 or 3 years ago, J.R. Richardson did a talk about security with Asterisk, and he based part of his talk on a honeypot PBX he'd put on to the internet to see how long it would take to get hacked into. And I think it was about 17 minutes. But that played howler monkeys to all callers.
At this point, the howler monkey has a Pavlovian response of, "It worked!"
In fact, Ben Clang, you've actually hit on one of the reasons I love working in this industry, because I love to see grown men smile when a phone call works. It's
Very
something
true.
that's always pleased me. Anyway, Eric, it's great that you've joined us, and I wonder if you could talk about your talk, because you're going to be speaking on the popular subject of security this year.
Well, actually, you've now got me on 2 sessions. One is the security panel, and one is my own talk on security, which seems to be opening the security track. Again, it's going to be more tips, tricks, what's been going on in the industry, some surprising things that have been happening, not necessarily in VoIP, but in some of the things that are happening in mobile. And just a little bit more about what's going on and where you can get some good training. I'm dipping back into the community for what training, what experience people can get for doing the right things for security this time. Not just what we did last year after the master class was pretty much all of the real stuff.
Yes, yes. Last year had a highly practical and very risky content, but was generally very, very well received. And Eric mentioned the security panel. What we've got is each of the speakers who are speaking on security, and I'll just name them now. It's Eric Klein, our friend that's on the screen right now, Flavio Gonzalez, Eric, another Eric, but this time ending with a K, Eric Knight from Simple One, Philip Mullis, the world-famous Philip Mullis from Canada, all of those, and special guest Chris Brown from Vitality, Chris is not presenting a session, but he is going to be on the security panel. So those guys will be all lined up for people to ask their real-life security questions, and that's on the Thursday afternoon.
And whilst we've got Eric on, we ought to say a few words about the wine oblique drinks party.
Oh yes.
Okay. So, well, we know what the rules are. I think. Shall I explain that, Eric?
Please.
Yeah. Well, the rules are that everybody who wants to go to the party just brings along to the party something which can be a drink or it can be something to eat that they want to share with everybody else. And Eric and Nir, because they come from Israel, do tend to turn up with some rather excellent Israeli wine. Peter, before now, has turned up with Scottish whiskey. And I have a whole habit of turning up with Sip Smith London gin with all the bits to go with it. So that's the rules. You turn up with something, preferably that's local to where you come from, that you would really like to share with everybody else. And if you turn up with something that's pretty crappy, then nobody will talk to you.
Or you can turn up with a beautiful woman or more.
Well, I was going to say that, Randy, but when James started talking about sharing it with everybody there, I thought I'll hang back.
That's not going to happen.
James and Eric, do contributions.
Thursday at 5 p.m. Probably in the same room as always, which is the speaker prep room, if we can get a hold of it. Nir and I usually arrange that we'll have some snacks and food there just to make sure everybody isn't drinking on an empty stomach.
And Alison will be there.
Yes,
so
Alison will be there.
Just to make sure everybody's there. And Peter will be as well, I'm sure, and everybody else.
Yes, we don't want any fights breaking out this year, do
we? As usual, right?
Yes.
Another a very quick public service announcement. Don't forget that you cannot bring the wine bottle openers in your carry-on. Harkening back to the days when you actually could bring your wine and your openers, your corkscrews. Now you can't bring either one, so you got to check it in luggage, just in case any of you have not had experience with that. Don't lose your $300 bottle of wine at customs at the TSA because you didn't put it in your luggage.
Thank you very much. And just to follow on with that from that public service, I've got two other ones. Number one, never run with scissors, and number two, never eat yellow snow. And further, nobody bring Ebola. We don't want that shared around Astricon this year, do we? We want to keep that away.
No.
Okay, anyway.
That enough as it is.
That's the topical stuff over. Now, Eric's colleague Nir, of course, has been working on PHP ARI, which is very exciting. And before I move on to a talk that's going to be specifically about that, Matt, Jordan, we were talking the other day, and you were saying there's other libraries that have been brought out by the community for ARI.
Why, yes, there has. So, probably when ARI was first released, the first two libraries that actually were developed were actually by two community members. Lens wrote a Java one, and I always should know who the person was. I always want to say it's Snuffy, but it may not have been Snuffy. And yes, that's his handle, is Snuffy. wrote a one for .NET, actually. And these are actually all linked on the Asterisk wiki underneath the Asterisk REST interface page. So you can actually find links to all of the current libraries that have been developed by community members out there, including Near's excellent PHP one. But there are also libraries for Python that is ARIPy, which is available up on GitHub. And there's another library for Node.js and JavaScript that's also available up on GitHub. Recently, there's also been a Ruby library that was developed by I believe, Jan. Let me go. I actually have the email. Yes, Jan's. I'm going to slaughter the last name, and I apologize if he's watching or ever watches this. Jan Svoboda. Actually just did an ARI client in Ruby, which is also up on GitHub. So slowly but surely, we're making our way through some of the more common languages and getting libraries that actually wrap up the REST interface. One of the nice things about it being a REST interface is that it's one, you can, most high-level languages have good APIs for dealing with HTTP calls. And even if you don't, it's usually pretty easy to hack something in there. But we're starting. I think probably the last one that's still sitting out there is Perl, and I'm not a Perl guy. I'm not a big Perl fan, but if somebody is out there who is a big fan of Perl, that would be pretty cool too.
No, good. Thanks for that, Matt. IRC seems to have been exclusively taken over by people telling us what drinks they're bringing to Astricon now. So I'm glad it's serving a useful purpose there. So on the PHP ARI front. What's great is Nia and other community members have been working on that and got that out. But yet another community member, in the form of Matt Riddell from Venture VoIP, who does the Daily Asterisk News, is going to be doing a talk on PHP ARI in a rather enchantingly titled session called Creating ARI Apps Fast. So that's something to look forward to. So I just want to mention a couple of other ones with speakers who can't be with us at the moment. The lovely Alison Smith, as you know, in the past has done a talk about rules for IVR, but she's bringing an updated session to us this year, as well as working with Ben Klang on the speech technology and AI session. She's got her own session called The New Rules for IVR. Just when you thought you knew what the rules for IVR were, turns out there's some new ones. And Alison's going to tell us all about them. And another person that's been on VUC, bit of a favourite, young Tom DeMoore, is going to be doing a talk about connecting your non-SIP IP cameras to Asterisk, which promises to be fun and excitement.
Tom is one of my favourite presenters because he always comes out with some really original stuff. He's a good chap.
He is. He's an incredible asset to the community, young Tom DeMoore, and I like to slightly credit myself for Tom's emergence in the community, as he was one of my students on an Asterisk training class that I ran in Belgium, and with some of the things he was saying, I said, Tom, you need to come to Astricon and talk about that, and he did, and now the Asterisk world has taken him to heart because he's such a nice guy. He's actually suggested a few other sessions as well, and in fact, I don't think we're going to be doing it this year, but Tom, one of the things he'd like to do is he'd like to invoke a mass Astricon PBX for everybody to hook up to one day. So that's a little Tom project.
I've just got to in, David. Surely 90% of Astricon attendees have been taught by you.
Well, you would be another one, Dan, another valued member of the community. It's actually a Digium recruitment program, really. I go around teaching people, and then we pick the best ones and sort of reel them in a little bit. That's the way it goes.
I think the word is assimilation, isn't it?
I can attest to that, James. Absolutely.
Any road up, as they say in the north of England, with an appropriate accent. That's oh, hold on. Let's not forget 12 Reasons Your API Sucks by Keith Casey, which is another one that's not directed specifically at any APIs around Asterisk, I hasten to add. It's a generic one about APIs. Oh, and Paul Belanger, another Astricon favourite, and Paul's a regular attendee at AstriDevCon as well, which we're please have him along. He'll be talking about introducing payload voice, call queues for the Asterisk REST interface. So the ARI is actually featuring quite dominantly in this year's Astricon, which is really a testament to its introduction by Matt and co last year.
So I guess this year's slogan is "Give it a rest." Okay.
It's either that or "Hurry up, Harry."
Or you're under arrest. I like those crickets, Randy. Very well.
Once again, any questions or anything, this is the time to ask them. But I always have to talk a little bit while people are unmuting and so on. And I wanted to say that if nothing else, this little discussion, and I put the film strip on for most of it, which we don't usually do, shows you a little bit about the kind of back and forth that goes on at Astricon. I'm afraid I'm not going to be there, and it's the first time in maybe 5-6 years that I haven't been there. But it's a really, really fun event, and I've said this every year. And
it will be missed.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, very, very much so. In fact, I think I can predict with a certain amount of certainty that there'll be a Randy toast during the wine drinking session. But maybe more than one.
That's nice. Hopefully next year it might be in, say, Florida, which is a much easier place to get to. Astricon requires me to travel a long, long way, and in not that many years I'll be 80. So if that explains anything to you, I can't handle that.
When you say not that many years, Randy, do you mean like 23?
Less, much less. And frankly, no, I can't handle the 26 hours awake anymore. I really can't. Except when I'm at home, which I do all the time. Because I can't see.
You must be doing something right, Randy, because you're looking quite young.
Well, thank you.
I'm not saying that in a James Bodie flattering a young lady.
Thank you very much.
But all kidding aside, it's Astricon's great. It's great fun, and I'm looking all over for questions. But this is this young man, Matt Jordan. He's asking questions. Oh no, that's not a question.
Actually, I've got one.
Go.
Who's actually going to be there Monday night?
We're going to be there.
I get in.
Okay. Near and I are arranging a dinner with John Draper, Captain Crunch, for Monday night, who he recently moved to Vegas and has gotten over some medical stuff. Right. And we're wondering who's interested in participating.
Okay, we'll come and play. We'll come up with Captain Crunch.
I would, Eric, except I'm not getting in till about 10:50 at night, I think, on Monday. So unfortunately, I probably wouldn't make it.
No, by the time we'll pass the drinks.
Yeah, I'm in quite late as well, Eric. But I think that has all the makings of something that will probably end up going down in community folklore. So don't take any firearms along to that meet.
Good one.
Yeah, they have problems with those in checked luggage, even. Unlike the wine bottle openers.
All right. Any further old or new business before we close out with our theme song and go to the mature audiences? Oh, look at this.
Yeah. So I just want to say one thing. I don't know if anybody said it before, but the great thing about Astricon, the sessions are fantastic, and that's valuable. But I think also the hanging out with people. So if anyone hasn't been to Astricon, it's a fantastic opportunity to meet the people who write this stuff and who do this stuff. I remember going the first Astricon I did and spending half an hour with Mark Spencer on a sofa while he explained it to me how a particular protocol worked. And that just, that kind of thing happens at Astricon if you're there and in the right place at the right time. And there are a lot of interesting people there. So kind of go and talk to people in the corridor and in the lunch and whatever, and you'll be amazed at how cool people are.
Couldn't agree more. Great group of people.
Very much so. Of course, Mark will be there, but I just realised that because of the community nature of this hangout, we didn't mention the keynotes. So, Randy, do I just have 1 minute to mention those real quick?
Oh, Craig! It's Craig.
It's not IBM and their Blade server crap or whatever that was that year.
We will never repeat that. I can give you a firm Astricon guarantee that we've moved on from that.
Okay.
Actually, several people were executed in the state of Texas after that.
That was incredible. Let's hear about it. Yeah.
Yes, so this year's keynoters on the Thursday, we've got Craig Walker from Firespotter, who's the guy that started Grand Central, who's also the guy that's responsible for Uber Conference and various other things, Dialpad, Yahoo Voice.
Little things like Google Voice, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, does anything scream internet comms more than the words Google Voice and Video all in the same breath? So Craig's going to be there on the Thursday and talking about the move of communications to the web. And then on the Friday, we've got ex-leader of the Asterisk project, young Russell Bryant, coming in. And Russell's going to be talking about the kind of how web has been moving into the cloud. We'll talk of virtualization and that kind of stuff. How comms is closeted in the cloud these days and wired to the web. And we're really looking forward to both of those. And like Tim was just saying, those guys are going to be around as well as all the other people that are going to be around to hang out with and chat to. That's
fantastic. Let me see if I can do this at my age. I'm highlighting people. You guys won't see this, but it's for the video. This is Tim Panton. Take a good look at Tim Panton, you people. And if you're going to be at Astricon, go up and punch him in the face or get his attention somehow. No, don't do that. Tim's a nice guy. Just say, hey, Tim. Yo, Tim. This is Peter Dunkley. Peter Dunkley is well known on the VUC, and he comes all the way over from Scotland with scotch, so if nothing else, have a drink with Peter. This is Matthew Jordan. Matt is very well known. We won't even stay too long on Matt. James Bodie, same thing, very well known. A lot of artifacts on James. Eric Klein. Look at this, guys. How many is that? That's 7 people already, and I got your names right. Mr. David Duffett, who chaired this day's work, and he's a very funny guy, and hopefully he'll bring chocolates, cookies, candies, and mustaches. Yes, all of the above?
Well, most of the above.
Okay. Billy Chia and oh my God.
And Mr. Dan Jenkins.
I know your name. It's just
Randy.
There's two people on the screen, and it was very hard. It's one of the Bens, Ben Klang. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Randy.
His hat. I like your normal hat though much better.
I like my. This one's heavy. I'm about ready to get rid of it.
Take that sucker off. We're gonna go to the mature audiences, but before we do, it's Andy Smith.
Hey, Andy Smith, keeper of the prizes.
And yours truly.
I must. Can I just put in here that the two TruePhone guys who are not Mr. Bodie are taking part in the hackathon. We've both signed up for it, so we thought we'd have a play. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, the other one being Giacomo Vacca, brain the size of a planet. Lovely chap.
All right, and with that, we're going to go to this.
You are tuned to
no, that's the wrong thing.
About that. Let's go to this. Leading edge of the IP communications and VoIP community. We're at VUC.me
no, we're not.
On the web.
Oh my God, what did I do?
Simwood.com, who can
no, this is right.
you as a developer into a telco.
We'll post-edit.
Our hosted PBX is provided by onsip.com. The site at VUC.me is on Bluehost.com. We use ZipDX.com for our wideband, full-featured conference bridge. And our local rate dial-ins are from Voxbone.com. Every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. See you next week.